Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Hey, Are You Still There podcast. This is Mike, and I'm coming live from Western North Carolina today. I am hunkered down here in the mountains of North Carolina waiting for this big ice storm that we are allegedly supposed to be getting. Why am I not at home? Why is the podcast coming out late? And more importantly, why is Beth not on it? I will try to solve all those mysteries very quickly. We both had a very busy week, and Beth had a lot going on, not just at work, but she's been dealing with some stuff with her dad and some health concerns he's had. And so she's been kind of helping navigate him through that. But everything's looking good there. But anyway, she was just busy. And so we never really could have enough time to record the podcast. And on Friday, I came up and visited Jacob, our oldest, up at college and had lunch with him and hung out with him a little bit. I decided to stay. And so we've mentioned before, we have access to a mountain home, or I guess it's technically just a home in the mountains of North Carolina. And as long as it's not occupied, we're good to stay there. And so it wasn't being used. So I decided to spend Friday night. And then as I was spending Friday night, I was like, what am I going to do at home? Like, we've got everything we need. If the power goes out because of the ice, ain't nobody going anywhere anyway. And so I just was like, told Beth, I was like, hey, if you're not opposed to it, I may just stay up here through the weekend. And she was quick to say, yeah, stay. Don't come back. But she didn't. She didn't say don't come back tonight. She just said don't come back. So I don't know what that means. But anyway, Beth, Josh, and Maria are staying at our home. Jacob is going to stay up at Boone and App State, and I'm in an undisclosed location at a home in the mountains waiting for the ice storm, which so far I've seen, I don't know. I don't even know what time it is. It's probably around 2:00 Saturday afternoon. I think everything's supposed to roll in around 4 or 5. And I've seen a flurry or two, but that was it. But we'll see. Hopefully, power doesn't go out long. I expect it to, but hopefully it won't be too long. And Beth and the kids will be fine back in Kernersville. But anyway, it's just me. So I decided I don't even have my recording stuff. So I'm doing this like very, very old school. And if you have been with Beth and I since the very beginning, we started this podcast and had no equipment, no anything. We literally just put our iPhones down, hit record, and recorded this on an app and uploaded it. And that was it. And so I'm going way back. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. So if the audio quality is not what it normally is, that's why. So feel free to turn it off if you want. If it's too bothersome, hopefully it won't be too bad. But I am going a bit old school, unless I'm just kind of sitting here in this home all by myself with nothing but my phone to record this podcast. A couple of weeks ago, I did something I called What Mikey Likes. And I joked with Beth and said nobody really listened, but we did have listeners. And I kind of went over some reviews of some things that I was currently watching and reading or whatnot. And I think I'm going to do a part 2 to that right now. There were some things that I had started to get into, but I hadn't really, so I didn't really put those on the list. But now it's been a couple of weeks and I'm kind of into it a little more. And then I'm also going to give an update to my stand-up class. My very first stand-up class was this past Monday night. I'll give an update to that and how that went. And then also the new book just launched on Wednesday. So I got a few things, not going to be a super long podcast, but here we go. What Mikey Likes, part 2. Movies. I'm a true crime fan, I guess. I mean, I like watching some of that stuff. I'm not addicted to it like a lot of folks are. I don't listen to the podcast. If I have to read about the true crime movie or series, whether it's on Netflix or Hulu or whatever streaming service it might be on, I'll read about it. And if it sounds interesting, I'll watch it. Well, one came out this past week on Netflix about Elizabeth Smart. And this was the young girl that got abducted in 2002 from her home in the middle of the night. And she was 14 years old at the time. And I just remember that story captivating America and maybe the world. I don't know. I just know everyone in America I felt like knew the name Elizabeth Smart. And you back when it was happening, there was, a lot of finger pointing at the family, kind of a la Joan Benet Ramsey. Somebody in the family must be involved. They are a Mormon family, and I remember people were even kind of pointing at uh, the Mormon church or something like that. It was just kind of all this craziness like that really had no substance and no credibility, but it was out there. And I can, this is really early on in the internet. I can't imagine what would happen if Elizabeth Smart got kidnapped today. The internet community, where I already have everyone in her family tried, convicted, and put in prison just based on lies and rumors. But it was I decided, I mean, it was something that was a big story back then. And I think this was kind of one of, if not her first time sharing um, about her story. And the documentary is about an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. It is fascinating. And it tells everything from her dad's point of view, her sister, her uncles. Um, and then it kind of rewinds and tells everything from her point of view. And then it kind of all merges together with her being found, which that's what's so incredible about that case is she was a 14-year-old girl who got kidnapped in 2002. And I think most people had assumed she would never be found, that she had been murdered or something else. But um, they were able to locate her, and they found her alive in 2003. It had been 9 months, and the people that kidnapped her had basically brought her into a cult and kidnapped her for the cult. And they were able to bust that cult and found Elizabeth Smart. And so it's just an incredible story. And the end, I mean, it's gut wrenching hearing, especially her describe all the things that happened to her after she got kidnapped. But, you know, she's what, 37, 38 years old now. She does TED Talks. She's an inspirational speaker. She's married. She has kids. She talks a lot at the end of the documentary just about overcoming the pain, overcoming just the trauma. And that's something that you never totally lose. You're never going to be void of that, but she's found a way to harness it and use that pain for good and find healing. And the last 5 minutes of her talking about it and the positivity in her life is worth watching the whole thing. So I highly recommend, if you like true crime stuff, if you remember the Elizabeth Smart incident and kidnapping, I encourage you to turn on Netflix and take a look at that movie. It's really, really well done. And Mikey liked it. So it gets my Mikey liked it seal of approval. Last night while I was here at the house, I have a streaming service, and I turned on Peacock, and there was a movie that I guess recently has come to Peacock maybe. It's been nominated for Best Picture, and it's called Bugonia. And I knew nothing about this movie. I had heard, all I knew was that some of the conspiracy sites that I like to kind of look at mentioned this movie quite a bit. And it was all favorable. It was all, this is a good movie. And so I decided, what the heck, I'll start watching it and see what it's like. It was gripping. Like, it was phenomenal. If it won Best Picture, it deserves it. I doubt it will, but it is really, really good. Bugonia. And I don't want to give too much away. I don't want to tell I knew nothing about it going into it. So that may have been one of the reasons I was so shocked. I know that it's a remake of a Korean film from maybe the 70s. I can't remember. It was pretty old Korean film, but even the people who watched and enjoyed the Korean film said that this adaptation is great. That the acting is better and it kind of sets it apart. The storyline is the same and it's really well done. Bugonia, I cannot talk enough about it. It is absolutely fantastic. It stars Jesse Plemons, and first time I saw that dude was in Breaking Bad, and he's one of the most hated characters in the whole series. And Jesse Plemons' character, I think his name's Todd, comes in the last season of Breaking Bad, but he's been in a bunch of other stuff since then, obviously, but a famous actor. It's just so good. And I'm blanking right now on the lady that the main star, the female lead. She was in Poor Things. Gosh, I can't believe it'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, she was great too. I think, and they've both been nominated for Best Actor and Best Actress. So even if this picture doesn't win Best Picture, one of those two deserves an Oscar for Best Actor or Best Actress. It is the performance, the story, the way it's done. It is edge of your seat. I mean, just twists and turns. It is awesome. So now I will say it is a suspense. They call it a dark comedy. Which is why I wanted to watch it. I'm a fan of dark comedies. There's some parts you may chuckle at, but I would not call it a dark comedy. It's just a thriller, and very, very good. It's not something you want to watch with young kids because there's a lot of cussing and some violence. But yeah, I mean it's well worth the watch. So Bugonia, Mikey liked it, and Mikey gives it the Mikey Likes It seal of approval. Other stuff on television real quick. These are some shows that one of them I completely forgot about the other week, and I can't believe I didn't mention it. And that's Fallout. Fallout Season 2 is on right now on Amazon Prime. It is an adaptation based on the video game series Fallout. I'm usually not a big fan of that kind of, I mean, I played the video games. I wouldn't say I play them much anymore, but most of the video games to movies or video games to TV series have not been done well. And so I was a little leery of this. I never played Fallout. And I guess there's some Easter eggs for Fallout fans, but this story takes place, even though it takes place in the Fallout universe, it's totally separate from all the games. And so you don't have to have any knowledge at all of the games, and you can still enjoy it. And Beth, Maria, Josh, and I watch it every week. I think it comes out on Wednesdays. And after our small group Bible study leaves on Wednesday nights, the four of us sit down and watch the new episode of Fallout. And it is so, so good. And if you like kind of sci-fi, end of the world type things, it's just really well done. But again, it's TVMA. I wouldn't let young kids watch it, or heck, even young teenagers watch it, but because it's violent and it does have some language. But the Fallout Season 2 is just as good as Season 1. Some more Season 2s that we're into right now. Peacemaker Season 2. I loved the first Peacemaker season. That was with John Cena as Peacemaker. It's a DC comic book anti-hero, if you want to call it that. And I didn't know anything about Peacemaker outside of what I saw in the Suicide Squad movie. But I love John Cena's character in that. And look, it's John Cena. And so I watched Peacemaker, loved it. Told Beth, I really think you'll like this show. And she was like, I don't know. And she started watching it and she loved it. Season 2 had come out and I watched an episode or two and it was good. But then Maria pops up one day and she's like, hey, I really want to watch that, Peacemaker. So I was like, all right. So Beth and I sat down and me and her and Maria rewatched for Beth and I Season 1, and Maria watched Season 1, and Maria just loved it. And it's so good. So I've watched Season 1 3 times now. It is great. And now we're jumping on season 2 of Peacemaker, and it's again, it's really well done. I've heard the ending is not good to season 2. James Gunn is the writer and director of both seasons, and he's really trying to jumpstart the DC universe in the movies. And so I've heard that season 2 ends with some cliffhangers that he's going to, I guess, explain, or it will blend into the next possibly Superman movie. So a lot of people were mad about that the TV show did not have the closure they wanted, that now they're going to have to go see the Superman movie to find any kind of closure to this. But I guess knowing that going into it, it'll be better for me. I think I would have been pretty upset had I watched it and did not know that. And now it's been out long enough. That's kind of come out and about. And so anyway, Peacemaker season 2, and another season 2 we're watching is Poker Face. Poker Face season 2. And Poker Face is written by Ryan Johnson, who did Knives Out. He's done a bunch of other stuff, but he's, 3 Knives Out movies. I talked about that the other week. I love. And so he does Poker Face, which is about a girl that has this ability to detect kind of when people are lying, and she's on the run, and gets herself in situations where usually something nefarious has happened, and she's able to help crack the case. And so it's kind of a whodunit, and it's a great TV series. And so season 2 has come out, and so we're all catching up on that and watching season 2. And so that's something that me, Beth, and Maria all watch together. So those are 3 TV shows I would recommend. They're all season 2s. So obviously, if we were watching season 2, we liked the season 1s enough to continue watching it. So I would recommend Fallout, Peacemaker, and Poker Face. I give all 3 of those TV shows the What Mikey Likes seal of approval. Now, last on my what am I reading or liking or watching right now is books. I'm going to talk about the Bible Recap Bible. I was listening to the Dusty Slay podcast toward the end, one of his podcasts toward the end of 2025. And he had a lady on there that he had met and invited to be a guest. And she helped write what she calls the Bible Recap Bible. And I guess she has a podcast of the same name. And the way this Bible is written in chronological order. So, for example, it starts in Genesis, but then around, Genesis, we'll just say 10. I can't remember right off. Then it jumps to Job. And then you read all through Job, and then you go back to Genesis. And so that's the way the Bible is written. It's literally written chronologically as it happened timeline-wise, as best we understand the Bible and the Bible timeline. So the cool thing about this is you have your daily readings. It's set up to be read a Bible in a year type thing. So you have 365 day reading. So it's usually 2 to 4 chapters a day, depending on how long the chapters are. But the cool thing about this is she has like a recap of what you just read. And so, it's been a while, it's been years since I've read the Bible in a year. And it's just, I've talked about it. It's one of those things that as a pastor, it's kind of what you do for a living. And so it's hard to kind of hunker down and read the Bible for enjoyment, for personal enjoyment, because you're always in the news. You're always reading it. I'm preparing sermons. And so I'm into that. But just sitting down and reading Genesis, throughout chapter 1, now I think I'm up to so far, I guess we've read Genesis 1 to 34, something like that. Plus we throw in Job, which that's been 40 chapters or so. I forgot. I just forgot how crazy some of these stories were. And what's awesome is for someone who would read this in the Bible and literally finish the chapter and just be like, what in the world did I just read? That was bizarre. That's why I love this recap. She has the recap set up to, it's usually a couple pages, 2 pages max, where her and her team just summarizes, hey, this is what's going on here. This is why this matters. This is what's happening. This is the context. If you think about culturally what was going on, and she doesn't use it to excuse anything. She just is like, hey, this is what's happening. And so you can get the Bible Recap Bible that has the actual, day one, and it actually has Genesis 1 through 3, and then it has the summary afterwards. Or you can just get the study guide, and the study guide will tell you what to read, and you can read that in your own Bible. And then it has the recaps kind of broke out. So, and it has the 365 recaps of what you're supposed to be reading every day. But you just read it, and that's what I'm using. I usually will read on my phone. Usually in the mornings while I'm having my coffee, I'll break it out and read whatever chapters I'm supposed to be reading, and then I'll read that in the mornings, and then at night as I'm going to bed, I'll break out and read the summaries and just kind of dig in a little bit on what her and her team summarizes, and it's so good. And Beth is doing the same thing. She also got it, and she's doing it, and so we both really enjoy it. So I highly recommend it if you are a Christian, if you are a believer, and you're like, man, I've never read the Bible cover to cover. This is a great way to do it. So far, I know it's early. What are we, 24 days into it? So far, I am loving it. And it's already, I think, the best way that I've ever found to read the Bible cover to cover. It's really, really good. If you're not a Christian, maybe you've tried reading the Bible, and it's just, you start in Genesis because that's what you think you're supposed to do, because that's the first book, and you get halfway through it and you're like, gosh, there's too many names. There's sons marrying their sisters and all this other craziness. And you just kind of put it down because it seems crazy. This Bible recap explains so much, and it is done so well and in such just modern day language. It really is great. So if you're a non-believer, if you're not a Christian, you've tried reading the Bible and it just hadn't clicked, give this a try. You can get the study guide for like 20 some bucks on Amazon. Obviously Bibles are everywhere. You can probably find a free one somewhere, but give it a try again. Use this and do the recaps. It is phenomenal. So what Mikey and Beth like is the Bible Recap Bible and Study Guide. We both really, really enjoy it. So that's the recaps as far as our reviews, as far as stuff we've been watching or things we're reading that we would recommend to our listeners. And now real quick, stand-up class. Last year I took an improv class, and it really stretched me. And the one thing the improv class taught me is I'm quick on my feet if I'm only relying on me. I think I have a pretty sharp wit, and I can come up with stuff pretty quickly, and I can, I just enjoy that. But you throw other people in, and I'm having to kind of feed off them, and they're having to feed off me. That is tough. I found it very challenging and very intimidating. And so the people that can do improv, I mean, hats off to them. It is so much harder than I ever thought it was. But that was on my Big 12 last year to try improv, and I did. I took the class. It was a series of classes. I did that. And then the same place, the Idiot Box in Greensboro, offers stand-up classes. So the wife, Jenny, does the improv classes, and then the husband, Steve, does the stand-up classes. And Steve's been a stand-up comedian for a long time. He said he's probably done over 100 classes now of stand-up, and taught well into over 1,000 students over that time, and a lot, who knows how many. But so he knows what he's talking about. And so it was myself, and there was 9 or 10 other students that were at the first class. I don't know. I don't know why I was surprised, but I was pleasantly surprised at the diversity of the group. There was, I believe, 2 married couples there. So both husband and wife were going there and taking the stand-up classes. There was two young guys there. One looked like he was barely in college, and the other kid looked like he was still in high school. And then you had two older guys that were both retired that were there taking the class. And then there was another pastor, which that really surprised me. And the teacher said, Steve, he was like, you would be shocked at how many pastors come and take this stand-up class. And he was like, there's an abnormal amount of pastors that do stand-up. And maybe some of them take it because they think it will help them in the pulpit, public speaking wise. Probably for most, though, it's you tell a few jokes in your sermon and your congregation laughs, so you think you're funny. Let's be honest, that's what happened to me. So anyway, I'm taking a stand-up class. The first class was very like drinking water through a fire hydrant kind of thing, where he broke down the anatomy of a joke and the setup, the punchline, the reveal, the wrench, like all the callback, whatever it is, all these different parts of a joke and what they're used for. And then he went over different types of jokes. He went over different comedians and their styles. He had examples and he had us breaking it down. Like, what kind of joke is this? It was really a great class. If that was the only class I took, it was worth it. And it went 2 hours. These classes are 2 hours every Monday night for 5 nights. So, I'm going to have 10 hours of stand-up class in me when it's all done. And then they have a special show. And the students from the class will do a stand-up routine. And at the end, I will have a 5-minute stand-up routine that I will have memorized, and I'll get up and do if I choose to, which I don't know why I wouldn't, but I would choose to do that then. But it was fun. It wasn't as intimidating yet as improv, because stand-up is just you. And that's what I do. That's what I've done for 30 years is I've stood on a stage by myself and spoke. And my sermons are 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes a little longer. So coming up with 5 minutes worth of stuff is a piece of cake. Standing in front of a crowd is a piece of cake. So now I just need to find something that's funny and connects with the audience. But yeah, stand-up was great. Hopefully the weather will allow me to go back to class number 2 on Monday. We'll see how the roads are. As I said, there's a big ice storm coming in as it's hitting most of the country, but North Carolina is going to get blasted with an ice storm. And so it's just a matter of the roads and that kind of thing, if I can get there. But looking forward to Monday night and session 2 of stand-up. And then the new book. The new book is called Available, and it is now available. It is out on Amazon. You can get it in paperback form or Kindle. Copies are already flying off the shelves. And so it has some sales, and you just kind of put it out there on social media, and hopefully people will see it and want to buy it. I had lots of good responses from my first book, and hopefully this one does as well. Beth says she enjoys it. She enjoyed it better than Equipped. So, yeah, I hope it does well. I'm proud of it. There's a little bit different style of this one as far as some things that are in it that I did not do in Equipped. So I kind of mixed it up a little bit. I didn't want it to be the exact same pattern as the first book. So there's some cool things about this one that are a little different. And I've already started working on my third book. I'll say it's possibly going to be my final book. I felt like I had 3 books in me. I've written 2 and published 2, and now I'm working on my third. I won't give you the title yet. I think the title's kind of fun, but it is going to be based on fear. That's one of my favorite topics to preach on. Fear, it runs our lives. When you look at the Bible, the number 1 command in the entire Bible is fear not or do not be afraid. And more than pray, more than serve, more than love, more than worship, more than any of that, the number 1 command given in the Bible is do not be afraid. Well, why is that? Because I think God knew that That's the enemy's number one weapon. If he can scare us, he can control us. How many things in life have we not done because we've been too scared to try? We've been scared that we may fail, or I don't know. It just keeps us frozen. And so, what this book is going to be about is about fear and how to hopefully overcome that fear. I think it's pretty practical. I think I'm coming at it from a unique perspective. It's from years of sermons that I've done on fear. I've kind of brought them all together and kind of writing this book. And so my goal is to have that out by the first of the summer. And then I think that'll be it, at least for a while, if not forever. I think 3 books for me is 3 more than I ever thought I would write. So, yeah, I think that'll be it. And Beth is actually talking about a second book for her too. So she's been brainstorming some stuff, and we're going to look at some things. And I think she has the makings of another great book. And so anyway, she's kind of talking about formulating those notes and putting that together. So yeah, hey, that's who we are now. We're authors. Nobody, you may not be a reader, but we are authors. And so, it's kind of like fishing. You can be a fisherman without ever catching anything. The fishing is just the act of throwing your net out there to see if you can catch, or throwing your line or your net or whatever out there to see if you catch anything. And that's what being an author is. We're authors. We've thrown stuff out there. If people read it, fantastic. If they read it and it's enjoyable and it's helpful, that's even better. But, we know that it may never get read, and that's okay. At least it's out in the universe, right? So that's it. That's kind of my quick recap of our lives. I think this is, like I said, Beth's not around, and so I know it cuts out on a lot of the good banter and the back and forth that we have, but she will be back next week because I'll be going home here in a day or two, and then she'll be at home all next week, and hopefully it'll be a more calmer week for her, and we can knock out a podcast again where we're both together. But anyhow, that's all it is for me today. Thank you so much for tuning in to What Mikey Likes Part 2. Let me know if you're watching or reading or trying some of the stuff. I did have a couple people mention the board games that I mentioned. They had heard the podcast and went out and purchased the games and loved them. So thank you. I guess I should probably put some links up on our site. That would probably help, but for you guys to find them. But anyway, you can go back and listen to the old pod. You can listen to this one. You can just kind of get a peek into what we like to watch or read or listen to or whatnot. So anyway, have an amazing weekend. If you're in North Carolina, be safe. And I'll be back with Beth next week.